All right, let's jump into this because there's a lot I want to discuss. In the U.S., we're sitting at 50,000, 206 cases. We quickly surpassed Spain, and we're now approaching Italy, which is very concerning. They updated the map here to show all the different areas of the states and the counties where this is spreading, and it really drives home how fast this thing is spreading. New York is in the thick of it right now. Cases have just exploded. Cuomo is pissed. He had a press conference today. He's, and rightfully so. The cases have exploded in the city and in Long Island as well. It's starting to spread there. He blasted the federal response. He said it's insufficient and not fast enough. He's right. He's projected that the cases are going to double every 3 days. That's very concerning. He's outlining his requests, which I really like. He's showing what he needs and why he needs it and how many he needs, so that it addresses the problem now, not 3 weeks from now, because they are in the thick of it. It's really already too late because the hospitals already are over capacity, and the healthcare workers, they really deserve and need our prayers right now. Our prayers and our thanks, because it's going to be a real tough time for all the doctors and nurses and just everyone associated with treating patients, all the way down to the janitorial staff. Everyone is going to be working overtime on this, and they deserve our appreciation. Also, the essential workers, that are out there, like cops, anyone out there who's forced to deal with the public, they're putting themselves at risk. They also deserve our thanks and our prayers. They put themselves at risk, but also their families, because if they catch something, they potentially can bring it home, and that's something we don't want to see. And I'm hearing that they also, like, if the healthcare workers don't have the masks and the gloves and the equipment that they need, then you got to imagine the cops and everyone else that has to deal with the public, there's not enough for them as well. At home, someone very close to me, who's been kind of working from home voluntarily. Luckily, he's one of the few, like myself, who's able to do that. He got an email today that there's one confirmed case in his office. He works for a big company where they employ a lot of people, and there's one confirmed case in the area where he works, but he found out there's actually 3. So that's that hits a little bit close to home. So it's no one's going to be safe from this. It's going to be everywhere at some point. It's just how fast it's spreading. Every state is going to go through their curve at different times, but they will have a curve. So hopefully lessons learned from New York can be applied to the next state, that when the surge happens, and hopefully there's not too many that are going to have a surge at the same time, because that would just be even worse. I'm seeing more and more people out in public practicing social distancing, which is good. Wearing masks and gloves. People that are at risk definitely should be wearing masks. I had to go to the post office to drop off a package, and the person there that was dealing directly with the public, he had a mask and he was wearing gloves. I just had to go in and just drop a package down the chute, so I didn't have to deal with anyone. I have a mask, but I don't choose to wear it. I only have 3 that we stole from the hospital when they were still giving them out a month ago. I took one for each member of the family, and I'm reserving that for, God forbid, if one of us gets sick, that we can hopefully prevent anyone else in the house from getting sick. So I don't want to use that out in public, but I'm being very, very careful what I touch, always washing my hands right away, and staying far away from people. So and I only go out when I need to, go to the store, go shopping, and just have to be extremely, extremely careful. I went to the vitamin shop too to go pick up some multivitamins, and the guy there was wearing a mask, and you know how they run up to you and, can I help you find something? And he just would not come 5 feet of me. And it was kind of funny because as I'd walk towards him, he'd walk laterally to like not be rude, but to kind of let me know, no, I'm staying away from you. So it's not funny, but I'm glad he was doing it. I wasn't insulted at all. I noticed gas station attendants, you know, the guys and girls behind the counter, they're wearing gloves because they're handling money and they're handling products, so that's good. But I noticed fast food places, the two that I've been to, drive-through, they're not wearing gloves, and I don't understand why that is. They should be wearing gloves, and if they should have gloves for handling food, then they should have the people wearing it for dealing with money. We're starting to see officials in this country that are forced to deal with it, like Cuomo. They're saying the same things that they're making the same discoveries that we've learned from China a month ago and Italy and Spain a few weeks ago, and that this actual sickness is worse than we thought. It's not the flu. It's worse than the flu, or it can be, has the potential of being worse than the flu, and they really don't understand why it's affecting some people and other people. And also the volume of the cases is worse than what we thought. Yeah, that's same thing we heard from Spain, same thing we heard from Italy, same thing we heard from China. And we weren't prepared for this. Yep, same thing we've heard. We've heard it all. If you ever had a flea infestation, you know how fast these things can grow. As soon as you start itching, that means it's too late. It's already, it's on the animals. It's in your couch. It's in the rug. You really have to take drastic measures to get rid of it. Here's you remember in my first video, I think it was, I showed a graphic representation of the spread of the virus. That it's a little website that Washington Post put out, and they put out another one which is really interesting, and I'll just kind of go through this real quick because it's kind of long, but to give you an idea of how it spreads. This would be COVID-19, right? So let me just play it so you can see. The red dots are infected. The blue dots are people getting immune, so they've had the disease and they've gotten cured. The black dots are people who died. So that's just a model of what it looks like, and you can see how many black dots are there. Not a good thing. The basic R-naught of the virus of COVID-19 is estimated to be 2.3, meaning that each person infected, which is the red dot with the virus, will spread it to 2 or 3 others, which we actually know the number is higher than that. We're hearing the R-naught being between 4 and 7. That's what some people are saying. So they're using conservative numbers here. So that means every one person has the potential of infecting 4 people, 4 to 7 people, or 4 minimum. So this simulation here shows the virus with R-naught of 2.3 in a completely susceptible population of 4,000 people without any vaccinations, masks, or quarantine. So this is the thing just letting loose on a population. And you can see how fast it spreads. Okay, so scrolling down. In this model, after contracting the disease, people either fully recover or die. Once infected and recovered, a person cannot be reinfected in this model. Hopefully that's the case with COVID-19. Slowing the spread. In this simulation, a third of the people who get a hypothetical disease wear protective items such as masks and gloves. That makes further spreading of the disease much less likely. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention does not currently recommend face masks for people who aren't infected with COVID-19, but they should be used by people who are infected and those in close contact with them. Now, this is a very political answer because we know we've got conflicted information about masks. They tell us we don't need them. They actually make it easier for you to get infected. That's not true. I mean, they saw the shortage of the masks and the gloves coming. They knew it was going to happen, so they were trying to prevent people from hoarding them, and I kind of understand why. But just take this statement with that in mind. quarantines are effective because they limit the number of people exposed to a disease. This scenario shows what happens if a quarantine is established quickly after the first few cases are discovered. So you can see this is a much better scenario. This quarantine would stay in place until the people inside it are no longer infectious, effectively reducing the population exposed to the epidemic. Real quarantines aren't perfect. In this scenario, the quarantine is established as soon as one person is infected, but in actuality, we often don't find out about a new disease until it's already an epidemic. Efforts to contain the much larger real-world COVID-19 outbreak are much more complex. Governments are using these and other strategies to slow the spread, and their effectiveness will determine whether the epidemic is wiped out or continues to grow. Yeah, so I'll leave a link. You guys can check that out. Okay, so the Republicans and the Democrats are deadlocked over this $2 trillion or almost $2 trillion bill that's gonna hopefully be the thing that saves our economy and gets people paid, lessens the blow economically, and also gets health care to the people that need it. Not only health care, but money for the supplies that the healthcare workers are going to need, the hospitals. So there's a lot riding on this thing, and the thing is that this virus doesn't care if you're Republican or you're Democrat, you're liberal or conservative. It don't care, and both sides are playing politics here. So the Dems say that they feel burned from the last financial stimulus package back in 2008 when they bailed out the banks. The Republicans claim that the Dems are sneaking in Green New Deal things and political things that move their political agenda forward, and they're saying the whole they never let a crisis go to waste kind of thing. The Democrats don't like the $500 billion, what they call a slush fund, that'll be available to potentially for corporations to do stock buybacks. They also are going to give this money. They're not going to disclose who they're going to give that $500 billion to, and I understand both sides of this, but we need to get this done. I mean, we need to. And the market seems to think it will get done today. So here's the Dow Jones. It's up pretty well today. So that is a positive thing. But if you look at the markets, you can see like here, like if I put on my little thing here, you can see money being injected here. And money being injected here, and here's today. So you can see they're throwing money at this thing, hoping to spark a rally, but it just keeps going down. So it goes back to what I said the other day, is like you really have to take your finances into account here. At the same time we're dealing with this health crisis, as a president, he's dealing with both situations, and I understand his point. He wants the country open by Easter because he wants to get things moving again. But at the same time, we have to make sure we're not opening ourselves up to more cases by not quarantining. So there's going to have to be some sort of back and forth on this. Like I said the other day, 15-day quarantine, 1 week off, then 15-day quarantine as needed. That might be able to put a dent on it. I mean, the only real way to solve it as quickly as possible from a health standpoint is just lock everybody down. But no one's going to do that, and you're going to trash the economy. And that's not good for anyone. Also, people in other countries as well that depend on us. So I really don't know what the answer is here. But we are going to get through it together. But at the same time, you have to take a look at this. You have to take a look at the economy and the stock market and where your future is. Everyone's in a different situation. and you have to do what's right for you. But just one thing I'm just going to leave you with before I exit this video. If I change, this is the Dow, by the way, the Dow Jones. This is a list of, or a basket of 30 of the highest cap stocks in the United States. And I think American Airlines is in there. We change this to a monthly chart. Let's get rid of that. Okay, if we go back to 1995 through 97, and we draw a trend line on the bottoms. So this is the floor of the stock market. All right, let's just get that right about there. So to me, this is before they started implementing a lot of the automatic trading and bots, a lot of things that changed the way the market behaves. And then before they injected in 2008, here's the financial crisis right here. This downward, that's the financial crisis, and this is them injecting the quantitative easing when the Fed injected money, printed money and injected it. As a matter of fact, this is around the time Bitcoin was invented, but that's for another video. So to me, this is a healthy market growth over long term. Now keep in mind, we are long-term investors, or at least I'm talking to long-term investors, people with 401ks and pensions. To me, this is healthy growth, right? So maybe you can kind of see where I'm going with this already. This purple line is a 20-day, there's a 100-day moving average, right? Traders usually use a 20-day moving average, and they would buy when the price crosses the 20-day, and as long as it stays above it, they stay in, and when it crosses to the downside of the 20-day moving average, they'll sell, and you'll be right most of the time. So if you put it down, since we're long term, I put it down to a 100-day close moving average to smooth out the price a little bit, and that's this purple line. You can see this month we passed that line, and now we're starting to come back. But which would be great. It'd be great if it makes that V-shaped recovery. But we know we're just getting into the thick of things here, right? There's more bad news to come. There's only more bad news to come in regards to the economy, because people are not working. Corporations are going to start saying that they're not going to meet their earnings expectations. There's going to be just bad news after bad news. The media is going to go wild with it. So my point is, this is where we're at, and you need to make a decision depending on where you are in your life cycle, knowing that these markets go in cycles. There's booms, there's bubbles, and then there's crashes, and there's plenty of downside to go. Now that doesn't mean the sky is falling, get all out, sell everything to cash. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying now is the time to think about maybe reducing your exposure in case this happens, because that wouldn't be good. We're already halfway there. All right, so lastly, I'm just going to leave you with this, some thoughts to ponder. This interview came out today, a little bit earlier today. So have a listen and come to your own conclusions.
The question is whether by Q4 you have a recovery or you end up into a depression. And I think the answer to that depends on whether we do the right policy action on the health side. We're not doing it in the United States. We're not doing it everywhere in Europe. That, I think, is the biggest risk. The idea that you're going to release the rules about kind of social distancing in a week from now is totally crazy. I mean, look at what happened in Italy when they did it too little, too late, and now there is a nightmare. US in a week from now or 2 weeks from now is going to be worse than Italy at this rate of increase of the spread of the contagion. So if we don't do the right health response because we want to jumpstart economic activity too soon, it's going to be a nightmare. And by next winter, it's going to be another round of this virus mutated. And we're going to run out of policy bullets because we cannot run 10% of GDP this year, next year, another year. let alone other geopolitical risks that are looming over the horizon. That's why I worry about the Greater Depression, not the Greater Recession. The Greater Recession is baked in for the world. You have to start to worry about the Greater Depression.
Hey, investors.
Great Depression. Something to think about. All right, I'm out, y'all. Stay well.